I don't want to keep on going and playing these games. It's actually really, really annoying. It ruins the whole experience of owning this car.
Welcome back to Modifications. For those of you that have been following me, you know that I had a Kia EV6 for about 3 years. I was actually an early adopter of this car and I absolutely loved it. It was my first car that went to SEMA. We did recently trade that in for a 2024 Kia Sorento. This is a pretty popular car. It had been on our radar for a while. However, I'll be the first to say this experience sucked. So if you're looking at purchasing one of the newer generation Sorentos, I'm not saying don't get one, but maybe watch this video and note some of the things that I point out, because it was a pretty disappointing experience for us. And we did end up getting out of it in right around a month. The weekend after we picked up the Kia Sorento, we ended up taking it on a long road trip. And this is where our honeymoon period started and ended. So we're gonna dive right into that.
All footage filmed while driving was done in rural or fairly empty roads/highways. All drive assist features were also on, and cars were scarce. So please, no need to police me. Focus on the content. Thank you. Management.
We just got our 2024 Kia Sorento SX X-Line Prestige 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive. And I'm on a about 1,300 mile road trip. I've driven this quite a bit now. I've driven it on highways, I've driven it a little bit on dirt roads, and also city driving, obviously. I want to share my pros, cons, and somewhere in the middle. This is not a deep dive. This is just some initial impressions after a couple thousand miles on things that I've found about this car. So let's get started with pros. What does this car do well? Number one is drivetrain, transmission, and engine. I actually really like this power plant from a power perspective and a delivery perspective from the transmission. We'll dive a little bit more into spirited performance in a separate video that I'm working on. But for a normal car, a 4-cylinder 2.5 turbo, this actually delivers pretty good power, and the transmission, I love the way it's tuned. Number two, coming from the EV6, the visibility in this car is awesome. The windows, the airiness of it, they're just tall, they're big. The visibility is really, really good, and I really like that. Next, although this is not related to driving, I still like the way this car looks. Every time I park it and I come back to it, I actually really, really like the proportions of it. I think they did a really good job on the design of the car itself, especially from the front. The side profile is nice. It's the right proportions for every single thing, and that's something Kia has been doing really well until the K4 and the EV4 came out. Those are not for me. Next up is physical buttons. I love the fact that this has physical buttons for the seats, for the steering wheel, heat control, and all that. It does still have the same multi-touch menu system that the EV6 did. And I've actually gotten really used to it. I can see why people moving to this platform first aren't used to it. Quick tip, if you hold this button down for just a second, it'll actually let you choose the default menu you want to be on. I always leave it on infotainment. My next big plus, this is massive. Now, a lot of you probably are used to this with some of the newer cars, but coming from the EV6 and basically my Mercedes also, this car has wireless Android Auto and CarPlay, and it's so fast. Like literally within seconds of me getting in my car and starting the car, my phone is connected. So I will say that is a massive plus for those that don't want to mess with wireless dongles and adapters and things like that. Next up is this. Now this might just look like a standard rear view mirror, but it does have home link, which my EV6 did not. But you might be asking what these buttons are. So this is my favorite part. This is a digital rear view mirror, and the camera is in their back. This is so awesome. It literally is just another screen that shows you everything behind the car. This mirror is just great. Opening my gate right now, you can use this to turn the brightness up and down, just in case you're using it in the evening. And then this you can use to pan up and down. I think this is so badass. And that also brings me to another thing I really like. All the headliner in this car, this trim specifically, is suede. And it's a really, really nice suede. One thing that I forgot to mention that I found out accidentally, but when I was shooting my B-roll, I actually put my GoPro on the ground and then I drove over it just to get like a cool shot. And I realized this car actually has a spare tire. Now that might not be that impressive to a lot of people, but I haven't had a car with a spare tire that comes with a spare tire in a long time. My Mercedes didn't, my Audis don't, my EV6 didn't. They just came with those like inflator kits or whatever. Because I'm actually lugging around one of my Avid wheels that I had from my EV6 as my spare. Couple other things I really like that I didn't mention. The key fob is so much nicer than the one on the EV6. It lights up when you press the button, so that's kind of cool. I love the automatic unlock as I walk up, which the EV6 did not have.
One of my favorite things about this car is the design right here. The windshield wiper is actually hidden behind this top console right here. And it just looks so clean and really nice. I think every car should do this. But overall, just minimal silver, a little bit of gray, mostly black. Not a single piece of chrome on this whole car. Really, really nice details. The black grille is really nice. It's got the cameras all around. Fog lights down here, which I really like the way those look. All LEDs on this one. I love the wheel design. I put those mud guards on. Other things I just like, I do like the difference between sport mode and normal mode in this car. It actually does feel a lot peppier.
This does have feedback on the steering wheel for when you're either getting out of a lane or there's a hazard on your left side or your right side. It actually vibrates the steering wheel slightly just to give you some extra feedback. And I've seen that on like Cadillacs and many other cars for years, but my EV6 didn't have that, just a notification. So that's kind of a cool feature to have.
Here's a quick list of some honorable mentions of things that I liked. Number 1, using your phone as a key. I barely ever had my keys on it, and it was such a cool option to have and it made it feel up to date. So definitely set that up if you get this vehicle. Number 2, the app. The Kia app is still very good. It has a lot of good remote features. It's great and responsive, but I still hate that you have to pay for it. Number 3, it's a gas car, so it's less headaches for a road trip, which is one of the things we wanted to do more of. The plug-in hybrid model leaves much to be desired in the looks and performance department, but I also haven't heard great things about the reliability. Number 4, the lane and steering assist is so good compared to a lot of the competitors. I really miss having it, and I think Kia does it really, really well. Number 5, the screen quality is still very good. It's familiar to the EV6, so it's a very nice side screen and very high resolution. Number 6, the third row option. Although it's small, it is one of the major deciding factors on why we pulled the trigger on this car, as well as the captain seats, which we really like. Number 7, the second row is also heated in this trim, and that's just small, nice to have. Last but not least, this car does handle very decently for spirited driving. It feels composed while taking hard corners, and it doesn't make it feel like you're driving a big bubbly SUV or crossover.
The seats are still my least favorite thing. I just don't understand why the bottom doesn't feel very cushioned or comfortable. But I don't know, maybe it's my butt. I don't know what the issue is. Now let's talk sound system. This does have the premium Bose surround system. I feel like a lot of the noise in the back kind of disappears. So I actually shifted the focus of the sound a little bit further back, maybe 1 or 2 clicks back. So that way I hear more in the back versus just the front. I just wish the bass was a little bit more present, even turned all the way up. Only certain bass frequencies seem to come out a lot more. One of the differences I see between this and the EV6 is just some of the touch points. For example, this little area where my knee sits next to the seat heater, when you actually accidentally like kind of rub it, it does make a little bit of creaking. Now most cars will do that, but that's more than what the EV6 did.
A few more items that were in the middle or really kind of a miss. How does a Kia at this price point not have any ambient lighting? Kia is known for their great interior lighting, especially in the EV6. This is one of the highest trims of this Sorento and it has none, like zero. Number 2, no park assist features. I used to use my key fob all the time with my EV6 to pull the car in and out of the garage, especially since I had a tighter space in there. And number 3, ride quality. Although it's okay on the highways, it gets a little annoying around town, and it's not just the suspension, but the transmission and engine tuning is a little obnoxious as well. More to come on that. Not all of these were deal breakers, however, I do want to point them out. So let's go ahead and get started with my thoughts after a few weeks of ownership.
We had this car for about a month, and I promise I really try to like this car. Let me talk about some of the things I don't like about the interior, and then I'll kind of focus on the 3 items that we just can't get past at this point. So number 1, I think the interior is a little creakier than the EV6 was. Even though the materials in here feel better, it creaks a little bit more. Number 2, why is there gloss black still all over really high touch surfaces? Why does the steering wheel have gloss black? All the windows and door locks all have gloss black around them. So it's just stop with the piano black. Number 3, seat heaters and coolers. We have the ventilated seats. They're good, they're fine. They're not great, but they're good. I feel like the heat in the EV6 was a lot better. It was also a little bit better distributed, but on these seats, specifically on the X-Line seats that we have, it's fine. It gets the job done. It's not like great. For some reason, I can't get my butt to be comfortable in this. The back actually feels really good. It cushions you in, it holds you in place. It's the butt that just feels flat and hard. The seats I did like better were the non-X-Line seats that were on the standard Prestige. And in all honesty, that was kind of the first step of some of the things that I'm just like, ugh, I can't get past this. About 3 weeks after we bought this car, we turned it back to the dealership and said, hey, there's a couple things that need to be fixed. And number one was our blind spot monitor camera just greens out. It greens out randomly. They looked at it. They said they fixed some wiring stuff. They showed me the paperwork for it. And 2 days after we got it last week, it was doing it again. And in fact, it stopped doing it after a day. And now today, a week later, it's doing it again. Yes, I can take it back to the dealership and we'll get it fixed, blah, blah, blah. But that's just a thing. It's just an annoying thing. Number two, our sunroof, it sometimes doesn't close. It gets to the end, it pops right back up, and then we struggle to get it to close. I told them about it. They couldn't replicate it, of course, and they didn't do anything about it, but they said, hey, we'll note it. So these are two things that are easy to see, and they're like, okay, you know what? We can fix it. They'll fix it. Warranty, whatever. Now, here's the reason we are selling this car. Actually, there's two big reasons. Number one, we have this whirring sound that is coming out of the center of the car itself right here. It's almost like the sound of the engine is being pumped in, although there's none of that system in this car, but not in a good way. I know what pumped in audio sounds like. This is definitely not supposed to sound like this. At first I thought maybe it was just like engine stuff, the ticking of the injectors, all those kind of things. The more I drove it, I was like, I can't, like, it was just like this hum at a frequency that's just annoying me. I'm going to play some clips of what it sounds like. Hopefully you can hear it. It's really hard to resonate through a video what that sound is. It is not a standard sound. Here's the sound. I went to the dealership, talked to the service manager, and I said, hey, look, before I drop this off, I want you to go into my car and hear it with me. And he even suggested, okay, let's drive yours and we'll drive another Kia, same trim that they had on the lot. Lo and behold, we did it, and he immediately noticed the difference. He said, yeah, that sound is a little weird, even to the point where they noted it in my drop-off notes. The one we drove right after he drove mine did not have that noise. 10 days go by, we pick up my car. They said they couldn't really like nail down exactly what was causing it. They kind of wrote it off to be somewhat normal noise, but they did say they did like a DCT reset. And at first it used to just irk me, but then my wife, who lets a lot of these things go, was like, yeah, I hear it. She was like, is that normal? I was like, no, that's what I've been saying. Like, it should not sound like this. It is not a pleasant thing to hear. So that is reason number one. I don't want to keep on going and playing these games. It's actually really, really annoying. It ruins the whole experience of owning this car. Number two, I get it. This is a comfort-focused SUV. This is not a performance SUV. But it just feels like it fumbles a lot. Like the transmission, it's a DCT. It's really great in manual mode, but when I'm shifting myself, it's a little slow, but it's good. But in automatic mode, unless you're just kind of cruising at normal speeds, when you're going up and down and stopping, it just sometimes can't decide where it's supposed to be. And it just feels sloppy. Sometimes the engine will rev as I'm coming to a stop, even without the transmission shifting. There's just random things that just don't make it feel refined. But in addition to that, the road noise isn't that great either. Now, I know this has really giant windows, but this significantly has more road noise than my EV, which is expected. Now, I'm not talking about engine noise. I'm talking about road noise from the tires, from the wind. So that is my, top two reasons we just can't get ourselves to keeping this car. It's a horrible financial decision. I get it. I don't want to sound like one of those whiny babies who's like, oh, I didn't live up to my standards. I don't think that we can keep it and just hope that these things get worked out. And it's really disappointing because every review for this Sorento, especially in this trim, is so good. Everybody loves it. I don't see the exact same thing they were seeing. At this point, if we keep it, I feel like we're settling. I did reach out to Kia for those who might ask that, and they said take it to a second dealership, let us know what their diagnosis, and then we'll take it from there. I could go down that road, but there's enough other things that I'm just kind of like, and if they fix like the sound, I just don't think we're in love with it. Thank you for listening to my rant. Any of you that are having a great experience with this Sorento, and there are plenty of people that are, I'm happy for you. I'm going to take a little bit of financial hit. We're going to trade this in. Next video, you'll see what we actually end up getting. I hope this helps if you're looking at a Sorento. Maybe it's something to keep an eye out for. This is just what our experience was. Bye. Out with the old and in with the